This video is called Conservation of Angular Momentum. And why is this important? Well, people that believe in the Big Bang, they believe in a singularity, which they describe as a pinpoint of energy that they're not sure what it was doing, but maybe spinning around or whatever.
I challenge Chad, or anyone, to find a physics book that says the singularity in question was spinning around or whatever. Anyway, this seems to be building a straw man, because I don't think that many cosmologists think that this singularity was spinning. What the singularity was doing was highly uncertain, because we do not have an understanding of the singularity based on general relativity, which is what we use to actually infer that there was a singularity. It's possible that quantum gravity theories may end up with something slightly different to a singularity.
But then what happened was it suddenly expanded for no reason.
There may well have been reasoning behind it. It may have been the collapse or failed timekeeping of a prior universe, or the higher dimension brains described in some string theories colliding.
Well, they got this little problem with the Big Bang that they can't get around, and I feel like I'd bring it to your guys' attention. The problem is conservation of angular momentum.
Great! I'm expecting a little bit of maths here, so we best pay attention.
Now, if something is spinning, or it explodes, or expands, and suddenly breaks away, it will continue to spin that same direction until acted upon by another force.
Yes, but the angular velocity will change if expansion occurs. Angular momentum L equals mass times radius squared times angular velocity. Using conservation of angular momentum, L initial equals L final, and assuming mass is unchanged, we get the balanced equation R initial squared times omega initial equals R final squared times omega final. From this we can clearly see that as the radius increases, i.e. as in an expanding universe, angular velocity will decrease, and thus rotational period will increase, as shown by the relationship T equals 2 pi divided by omega. In short, even if the universe was spinning at this singularity, the universe is now so much bigger than the singularity that a general rotation would be imperceptible, or, if the universe is infinite in extent, non-existent. Given this, systems could have pretty much any rotational axes they desired, or should a general rotation actually exist, the sum of the angular momentums of every system in the universe would have to be equal in magnitude and direction to the total angular momentum of the universe, which would be small. Even if this singularity were spinning, we should not expect a discernible motion asymmetry in the sky just because of that.
But here's the problem. The rotation of the planets and moons are not consistent with a naturalistic origin. It's not consistent with the Big Bang.
The Big Bang model has nothing to do with planetary formation. The Big Bang model concerns phenomena at cosmological distances, not the physics of accretion disks or the gravitational interactions between planets.
Because if there was a Big Bang, everything should be consistent. Everything should be doing the same thing, unless acted upon by some outside force.
But I can't for the life of me think of any force that acts upon mass.
Gravity, you fucking retard! Gravity! Have you ever heard of fucking gravity? Gravity!
So, if the universe began with a Big Bang from the same source, then I need someone to explain to me why it is that 3 of the planets are spinning in opposite directions than the rest of the planets.
Interestingly enough, it's been 5 years since Pluto was demoted from planet to the lowly status of dwarf planet, but here it is touted as the 3rd planet with retrograde rotation. Anyway, Pluto's rotational axis is very inclined, 120 degrees, which means it's up and over itself, so it's technically in retrograde rotation. However, the Pluton-Charon system is likely the result of a collision or gravitational capture, both of which can account for the axial inclination of the system. The other two are Uranus and Venus. Uranus, like Pluto, has high axial tilt, so is only technically in retrograde. Venus is the only planet with retrograde axial motion and a normal axial tilt, which is actually very small at about 3 degrees. The retrograde rotation here is due to gravitational interactions between Venus, the Sun and the Earth, along with tidal effects resulting from its dense atmosphere. These are of course rotations about their axes rather than about the Sun, which will be much more difficult to deal with.
8 of the 91 moons are spinning backwards.
And natural satellites with retrograde orbits are small and are usually captured asteroids, excepting Triton, Neptune's largest moon. This is probably a captured Kuiper belt object, as inferred from its composition, and this scenario also explains the eccentric orbit of Nereid about Neptune, and Neptune's general dearth of moons, as small regular moons would have been ejected by gravitational interactions with Triton. The figures appear out here though. There are 168 objects classed as moons in orbit around the 8 planets. Just looking at Jupiter, the Carme group has 13 retrograde moons, which likely originated from a larger body. The Ananke group, containing 7 bodies, again is likely to have had a common origin, and the Pasiphae group with 7 retrograde moons, yet again likely to have a common origin. So even about Jupiter, there are 27 retrograde moons.
4 planets have moons that are going in both directions at the same time.
This is like one of those usual doors on exit orders. We're looking at a quantum superposition of moons here, people.
And some of the galaxies are spinning backwards. Also, the Sun should be spinning at a crazy speed because the center always should spin the fastest. And even though it's enormous, it takes the Sun 25 days to rotate just one time.
In sun-like stars, there is a correlation between age and rotation rate. It is posited that interactions between magnetic fields and the solar wind causes a reduction in rotation speed. Thanks for watching everyone. Take care.